Gabby gone missing?
Oh, is she not there?
Oh God, I haven't seen her yet. I was like, am I on the right page? Because she hasn't appeared yet.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because she's done it differently. She's done it on Facebook.
I couldn't find a link on Facebook, so I've just done the one she sent.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying, because it was different.
You don't now say she's not. Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning. Can't see you.
Morning.
You see me? Can you see me?
Yeah,
oh, there you are.
Morning. Are you all right?
Not bad, you?
Live as well as Zoom, so I'm just waiting to see who joins which bit. So it's been a bit complicated getting the technology sorted out this morning, but hopefully we'll get there in the end. How are your shoulders feeling this morning?
Yeah, they're a bit achy.
I really are.
You feel them.
Shona, I don't know if it's you that's got a bad internet connection or me. Can you two hear me okay? Or am I intermittent?
Yeah, you're a bit pixelated as well.
Yeah, you're a bit intermittent.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. We'll see what happens. I think you two are the only two joining.
You're better on Facebook. I've joined you through Zoom. I've joined, okay. But I've got you on Facebook on my phone, and you're clearer on there.
Okay. All right.
Should I try joining on Facebook then?
Okay, Tracy. Yeah, okay. And then what we can do, I can send. A couple of people to join me, and then I will get started. A bit of a taste of what it's like to be mindful. So we're not going to sit and stare at a candle for half an hour. We're just going to break the half an hour up into small chunks to just, help you develop some awareness of what mindfulness is. So first of all, I'm going to ask you just to find a comfortable seat. Whatever that means for you. This isn't yoga, it's not exercise. So if you want to be slumped in a sofa, then do. But it's always nice to start with a little bit of dignity in your posture, perhaps bringing your attention to your spine and sitting in a way where you are alert and aware. So finding a way in which you can sit like this for a few minutes. If it feels okay, gently let the eyes come to close or softly lower the gaze. And let's just take a moment to think about how we're feeling this morning. Bringing your awareness to the feelings and sensations within. So just noticing how you're feeling this morning. Maybe you had a rush to get here and sat down on time. Perhaps you've not long been up. So just noticing how things are. Bringing your attention to the bodily sensations that you have. Maybe you're carrying a little bit of tension in your neck or your shoulders. Just scanning through the body. Seeing how it feels in your hips and your knees and your ankles and your feet. Perhaps the soles of the feet are flat on the floor. So just bringing that attention to where and how you are seated. Now let's turn our attention to the breath. How is your breath flowing today? So no need to change anything, just bringing your awareness to it and noticing where you're breathing. Which part of your body is moving the most when you breathe? Is it your belly rising and falling? Is it your rib cage moving in and out? Or maybe you're not aware of any movement at all. So just noticing how the breath is flowing in and out of the body. If your mind has already started jumping around looking for things to do, just gently bring it back to the breath. Noticing the inhale and then the exhale. And now starting to let go of the focus on the breath. And let's start to expand our awareness back to our bodies and where they are seated in the room. Just see if for a moment you can visualize your body in the room where you are seated, as if you were observing as an outsider to your body. And then slowly gathering your awareness back to the here and now, and gently opening your eyes. So that's just a little 3-minute breathing space which brings you into the here and now and helps you just kind of bring everything down, leaving behind the day that had already started. Now, as I promised this morning, we will be doing a chocolate meditation or a raisin meditation if chocolate's not your thing so early in the morning. But also I wanted to do a loving kindness meditation. It's quite apparent at the moment that lots of people are struggling with not only self-care, but feelings of positivity. Perhaps if you've been poorly and you're taking a while to recover, that kind of thing. Lots of us are struggling with eating issues during lockdown. So this is a little batch of mindfulness. It will take less than 10 minutes, all about loving kindness, first towards yourself, and then to extend outwards to include other people. So once again, just finding a place of comfort where you can be still. And just remember that if your mind does start to wander, just gently bring it back to the breath again. And congratulate yourself for having noticed that you've gone off track a bit. So once more, let's start to settle into the space. Letting the shoulders be heavy. Letting the eyes softly close or lower your gaze. And let's start by thinking about ourselves. And wish yourself to be happy and healthy today. As happy and healthy as it's possible for you to be today. Wish yourself to be free from suffering today. Suffering doesn't mean necessarily physical pain suffering. It could be perhaps if you're beleaguered with thoughts or worries or anxieties. So just freeing yourself from any kind of suffering. Wish that for yourself. I wish to be free from suffering today. And then wishing yourself that today you can live your life with ease. So whatever that means for you today, I wish to live my life with ease. So each time we think about these things, about being happy and healthy, about being free from suffering and living life with ease, imagine that you're dropping a stone into a deep well and you're waiting for it to land and to let the ripples spread out. So each time we go through these things, we're going to cover them 3 times and just thinking about what that actually means, letting the statement land with you and take some effect. Meditation is much like working out in a gym. At the end of this meditation, you might think, well, I don't feel any different to that. It's a bit like when you've, walked your first mile. You might not feel super fit after that first mile, but if you do it every day, it will start to make a difference. And so it is the same with mindfulness and meditation. So having thought in a loving way about yourself, let's now think about someone you care deeply about, someone for whom you have deep feelings. It could even be a pet, a loved one, a relative, a friend. And let's wish them a day feeling happy and as healthy as it's possible for them to feel. Wishing them happiness and healthiness today. And keeping that person in mind, let's also wish them a day that's free from suffering. And keeping that person in mind, let's also wish for them to be able to live their life with ease today. So letting those little stones of mindfulness land and splash in the water and spread outward. Let's now think about someone you feel completely neutral about. Perhaps it's somebody you pass every day on your daily walk. Perhaps it's somebody you see standing at a bus stop. Perhaps it's someone you know vaguely from the local shop. Someone for whom you feel absolutely nothing about. You don't know their name. Maybe you've never even passed the time of day. But hold that person's face in your awareness now as you wish them happiness and healthiness for their day today. And then wishing that person a day that's free from suffering. After all, we have no clue what's going on in their lives, but just wishing them a day free from suffering. And then for this stranger, let's also extend feelings of them being able to live their life with ease today. Now this one's a little more difficult, but I think you'll get the gist of where we're going with our feelings of compassion. I want you to bring to mind somebody with whom you haven't always had an easy relationship. It doesn't need to be somebody you really can't stand, but somebody perhaps who you've had a recent argument with, or someone who you always find a little bit difficult, or who makes you feel a little bit anxious every time you see them or meet them. So bringing that person to mind now. Let's wish them a day full of happiness and for them to be as healthy as they can be today. Let's also wish them a day free from suffering. And finally, let's extend our feelings of compassion and well-being and offer the hope that they can live their day-to-day with ease. So having thought about that person, notice what physical sensations might have cropped up for you while you were wishing them well, while you were extending your compassion towards somebody who hasn't always made your life easy. And just really trying to relax into any physical sensations that have cropped up. And taking a moment here just to notice how you feel. And ending this little session of mindfulness, this particular exercise, extending those feelings back towards yourself. May you be happy and healthy. Today, may you be free from suffering. And today, may you be able to live your life with ease. And then slowly coming back to the here and now and gently opening your eyes. So just taking a moment there, that one might have been a little bit difficult for you if you haven't done anything like that before, but the whole idea is that by bringing some love and compassion to ourselves, we are then able to perhaps draw other people into that and extend some feelings of goodwill towards others. We have no clue what people are going on with in their own day-to-day life, and I think if you can start to feel good about having wished somebody else well, it helps set you up on your own day. So that's the understanding behind the loving kindness. If you can extend it out, you'll start to feel better yourself. I'm going to have a quick drink of my coffee. And then we're going to move on to, in a moment, we're going to move on to our chocolate meditation or our raisin meditation, which I hope you've been looking forward to. But before we do, just thinking about the meditation that we've just done, perhaps it's brought some things up for you that you can think about when you have a moment with your coffee later. I'm thinking about perhaps, do you criticize yourself constantly? Are you aware of a little voice going on in the background of, oh, you shouldn't have eaten that, or oh, you shouldn't have said that, or, you know, you're looking a bit rubbish today? Whatever it is, take note of the critical voice and notice how often it crops up for you, and see if and when you notice the critical voice, if you can extend those feelings of compassion that we were just bringing mind to then, and see if you can start to quieten the criticism. You know, goodness knows there are enough critics out in the world. We don't need our own internal one going on. So just acknowledge when that happens, acknowledge the realization that it does happen, and see if you can catch how many times you criticize yourself for things going on during the day. And perhaps once you've noticed that, it will help you think about areas where you can start to nurture a little more self-care, about things that will help you feeling better, will have you feeling better about yourself. So moving on now to our chocolate meditation, the moment we have all waited for. So I'm going to work my way through a book that I've used. It's an excellent book that I can heartily recommend. You perhaps can't see this because it's back to front. It's called Finding Peace in a Frantic World, Mindfulness by Mark Williams and Danny Penman. Excellent, excellent book. I used this as the backbone of a course I did on mindfulness a few years ago now. And it works through in a kind of 6-week format, which is very useful. So I could recommend that should you have any interest. So bring your piece of chocolate, and you might find it easier to hold it on a piece of kitchen roll or something like that, just so it doesn't melt if you're holding it. So this is going to take about 10 minutes. Never before will you have eaten a piece of chocolate quite so slowly, I don't think. And obviously if you're using a raisin, similar principles, just not quite so enjoyable, in my opinion. So first of all, we're going to start by just holding our chocolate or our raisin in our awareness now. And we're going to focus on it like we've never seen it before, which of course we haven't. This particular piece of yumminess we haven't seen before. This is brand new to us. If you're holding a raisin, you might want to notice how many grooves and dimples are in it. If you're holding chocolate, perhaps your piece of chocolate has a pattern on it, or perhaps like mine where I've broken it off the bar, it hasn't broken quite evenly, so I haven't quite got a square of chocolate here. And noticing the weight of it in your hand, noticing if you're aware of any weight. And let's start to turn it round now, noticing the raisin or the piece of chocolate, and studying it from different angles. Noticing how the light catches it, how there might be areas of roughness or smoothness, bits where it's broken and you can see that it's grainy. Or if you're working with the raisin, noticing where it probably hasn't got a completely symmetrical shape. So just noticing what this looks like. Look at where the light shines and where shadows have formed. And now looking at your piece of chocolate or your raisin, with the hand that's not holding it, just bring your fingertip and touch it. Trace the outline of the shape of the chocolate, just noticing how it feels. And perhaps let's close our eyes now at this point. So for the rest of this little meditation, we're going to keep our eyes closed. So just using your fingertip or your fingertips to feel what you're holding in your hand, noticing, having looked at it, you know where the rough bits and the smooth bits are, you know what shape it is. And maybe turning it over to see if it feels any different on the other side. Perhaps your piece of chocolate is completely smooth one side, whereas the other way up it had a pattern or an edge. And noticing with the raisin if it's flatter one side or if it feels more rounded. And now just stopping with the gently touching it, bring it up to your nose and smell the chocolate. I want you to hold it beneath your nose for a few breaths here. A little more difficult with the raisin, which probably doesn't have much of a discernible smell, but with the chocolate, noticing what you can smell. Let that smell fill your awareness. And notice what's happening in your mouth here now that you've started smelling the chocolate. Has your mouth started salivating in anticipation of eating this? Now slowly and very gently taking the piece of chocolate or the raisin, bring it up towards your mouth and notice how your hand knows exactly where to bring this. Without the sense of sight, you know exactly where to bring this piece of chocolate, and just touch your bottom lip with the chocolate or the raisin. Just stroke the bottom lip. So you're probably still very aware of the smell. And then take the chocolate or the raisin and just stroke the upper lip. Perhaps noticing the smell even more strongly, and the sense of anticipation is probably starting to build now. Now, if like me, you love your chocolate, this is perhaps a little bit torturous, what we're doing now. And now gently and very carefully, only you know what size piece of chocolate you've got. Maybe you've got a kilo of Cadbury's in front of you. Maybe you've only got the one square. But just taking a very small bite. This needs to be able to last for about 6 to 8 bites. So just taking a little nibble and just let it rest on the tongue. Noticing what's happening within the mouth. Without chewing at all, just explore the sensations of having the chocolate on your tongue. And then start to turn the chocolate or the piece of raisin over in your mouth, letting your tongue explore the shape of it, what's happening to it with the chocolate. It will be starting to melt now. And then very slowly chew that piece of chocolate until it's gone. Taking your time now, noticing when you swallow what's happening in the mouth. Perhaps noticing any sensations that come up in the stomach for you. Perhaps your stomach has started to rumble in anticipation of receiving the chocolate. And then when you're ready, let's take another small bite of the chocolate and chew very, very slowly. Just noticing what's happening in your mouth. Noticing the saliva that's being created and all the sensations that are going on. And when that piece of chocolate has been dealt with, let's get ready to take another bite. Just noticing when you swallow, the anticipation of taking the next bite. So taking another small bite, hold it on the right-hand side of your mouth, between your right teeth. Just hold it there and very slowly chew just on the right-hand side. Noticing how this feels. And then noticing how quickly it melts and disappears. And notice the sensations as you swallow. And then slowly getting ready for the next bite. So we should have a few bites left of our piece of chocolate. It might be a bit more difficult with the raisin. Let's take a bite and take it to the left-hand side of the mouth now. And slowly and gently chewing on the left-hand side, noticing how this feels. So noticing if the sensations are any different on the other side of the mouth. And slowly swallowing, letting go of all the sensations that were present with that small piece of chocolate. So whatever you've got left, I want you to take one more bite and leave a bite. So you've got 2 bites left of your chocolate. So taking your penultimate bite of chocolate, I just want you to hold it in the roof of your mouth. Just hold it there with your tongue. No movement in the mouth. Noticing what you want to do with the chocolate, noticing whether the desire to chew is becoming almost unbearable. Just letting it be held there in the roof of the mouth as it slowly melts. And then let go of it and let it melt as you swallow it down. So now for the very last piece of chocolate, bringing it to your mouth, setting it on your tongue and just leaving it on your tongue. Just leaving it on the tongue, letting it melt. Just holding it there. Just holding it there on your tongue. Bringing your full awareness to what's happening. And then slowly enjoying what's left. And swallowing it down. Just noticing what's happening in the mouth now. Just noticing what sensations you're left with. The aftertaste of the chocolate, noticing whether or not you now want to eat 10 times more. Or noticing whether that very tiny piece of chocolate actually taking so long to eat it, whether or not it's kind of hit the spot by bringing your awareness to it. And then very slowly and mindfully bringing yourself back into the present moment. And softly opening your eyes. So hopefully you enjoyed that mindful episode of eating chocolate. It might be the slowest you've ever eaten a piece of chocolate in your life. I'm sorry about my dogs barking during that. Somebody came to the door to deliver something. These things are always going to happen. So it's a good test of how mindful we're being if we can totally tune out what's going on in the background. So just taking a bit of a stretch here, maybe noticing whether or not you're about to go on a chocolate fest. Or whether if you had a raisin, then whether perhaps a few raisins would have been a bit more sensible to make it last. It is quite difficult, but the idea is that you really savor every mouthful and notice all the different sensations that are present when we do eat something. So often we eat quickly and mindlessly, to be honest. So perhaps a little task for today, if you want to explore this further, is to eat your next meal with zero distractions and just mindfully working your way through it, noticing the sensations of what's going on physically for you, what's going on mentally for you, and the process of you actually eating the food. So I hope you enjoyed the chocolate meditation there. And we're going to end on just bringing ourselves back into the space of getting ready to go out into our day. So I invite you just to let your eyes softly close here. Let's bring our attention back within, noticing any sensations that you are sitting with right now, any tension in your shoulders or your neck or your hips or your thighs or your feet. Noticing where your body is making contact with the surface beneath it. And once more, let's bring our attention into our breath, noticing the rise and fall of the belly or the ribs. And just noticing how we feel. Hopefully everything has calmed down and slowed down a little. And then slowly, as we bring our awareness back to the physical body of where we're sitting, how we're sitting, the room we are sitting in. And let's start to take our awareness back out, noticing the sounds that might be going on around us. And slowly and mindfully, when you're ready, opening your eyes and coming back to where we are. Well, that wraps up our little half hour of mindfulness today. I hope you found it useful and calming and gave you food for thought, quite literally, excuse the pun. And I hope the loving kindness gave you some ideas to dwell upon, certainly for yourself, before you even consider about wishing other people well. It's about nurturing those feelings that you have for yourself. An empty vessel has nothing to give, so remember that, and remember to top your own up first. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope to see you again next time, and have a lovely mindful day. Bye for now.